Welcome to Hobby Now with ZiggyNo. You can also join me at Hobby News Daily, my other channel. But here at Hobby Now, I want to thank you for joining me here at episode Frozen Factor -1. Why Frozen Factor -1? If you listen to past weeks, I am counting down to the week where I will podcast the episode. I'll podcast the audio and deliver the video here on my YouTube channel. Now, to date, I've gotten no closer to building a podcast. It's something that I've just been dragging my feet on. I do want to shout out Sports Card Therapist, who's actually been the inspiration to me wanting to do a podcast. He actually listed his podcast has been doing great. Now, he's been working his podcast for 3 years. He's been putting content together for, I guess, 2.5 years, 3 years in the spring. I've been putting together content just on YouTube for 3 years. I have not done it anywhere else. I do a little bit of IG. My point is, Rob is my inspiration of why I'm going to build this podcast. I want to broaden, expand. I think podcasting is the way to go. So we're at countdown to going podcast live sometime in the future. Thanks for being here whenever you're checking out this show. I'm going to go over what I refer to as the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on in the hobby for the last week. And then I'll touch on what I'm doing in the hobby, in my personal hobbying. I had a PSA reveal this week. I have not shared any video or information yet. I'll probably do that later this week. I'll talk about buying and selling. I'll talk about ComC experience too. Okay. Let's start with good. What's good in the hobby? What is going well in the hobby? What I see is positive? You saw the LeBron auto thing, right? I mean, that's I put that at top of my list as far as good. Now, I'll be honest. I expected that back in the spring when Topps came out with the generational announcement, and then it was just that rookie logo debut patch that most of the rookies that we want don't even have that patch in the product this year. Remember, did I tell you that? I think Volpe's the only one who has the rookie debut patch. All the other guys, like Corbin debuted last year, Gunnar debuted last year. Is it Gunnar? I think most of your top rookies were last year. So anyway, LeBron, big news. Now, is it huge news? It's interesting. I've heard a lot of things about it. I do agree with the main sentiment that this should drive the prices of LeBron autos down. That's absolutely true. What I will do in the immediate early rush is you're going to see a spike in them because people are now more likely to get them. So I'm curious to see what these first Bowman U autographs will go for. I'm curious to see that 1/1 will go for. Is it $1 million card? To me, it's like it shouldn't be worth more than, I don't know. I can't put top values on cards because I'm still blown away by the fact that people spend tens of thousands of dollars for a car. I mean, a card when you can buy a car. So 6 figures, right? It's got to be a 6-figure card, right? For the 1/1 LeBron. But what will the other ones go for? What will the base auto of LeBron and Bowman U go for? I'm curious. And what's coming down the road? I'll tell you what I'm thinking about what's coming down the road. Did you see the CJ Stroud autograph that was released this week too? That, in my opinion, was even more clever because if you haven't been following, Fanatics locked up the autographs of those key quarterbacks, Stroud, Bryce Young, and the Levens dude, I think. Is that right? Anyway. But they don't have the licensing to make cards yet. So what did Topps do? This is freaking genius, man. They use their Project 2020 like cards. I know it's not 2020 anymore. The Project Artie cards. And they got like Tyson Beck or somebody like that to make a CJ Stroud card that doesn't have any NFL insignias, no logos, no licensing issues. Beautiful card. And then to make 199 or so many of them available in autographs and have a Dutch auction. I'll tell you, I don't even know what it went for, but they sold out in less than 2 hours. I think they sold out in an hour. Those things went like hotcakes because people don't know. Will there be more? I don't know. But that's a CJ Stroud. It looks like a Texan, right? Is it his rookie card? Well, Victor, the rookie card specialist, was here. He'd tell you no. Those are not rookie cards. They're not licensed by the Players Association, so they cannot be rookie cards according to the rules of the rookie card. Now, I'm not going to argue. It's still an interesting piece, and I'm sure a lot of people will make money on that. I mean, it's one of those things that gave me notice that, A, you got to be paying attention because Topps is going to be dropping a lot of these Wemby. You're going to see a Wemby auto like that coming out somewhere, and that's going to go fast, like gangbusters. What the Wemby went for like 3,000 before, which is just disgusting in my mind. But look for that creativity. I think it's interesting. I didn't have a budget for it. It wasn't on my radar. So when I saw the CJ Stroud thing, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to pass on this. I'm not even going to watch it. You know, so the autograph is good. Now I will say, I'm going to mention this, and I'll talk about it later on in the ugly section. The autograph parts also emphasize the gambling part because you get to gamble when you buy your card, your CJ Stroud, and you can buy a base card too, by the way, which actually wasn't a bad deal when you think about it. $18 for a card that could be numbered. Anyway, there's a could get the numbered cards in that allotment, and you get a chance at the 101 in the autograph allotment. And that gambling technique, that gambling of the hobby, is why I call it the ugly side. And it's something that I'm just going to tell you too. I'm a gambler. I'm a degenerate gambler. I love gambling. The hobby is gambling. Okay. If it is not gambling, then go buy, cards with no chases, no numbering, no parallels. Those are called the 1980s cards. Go buy those. You can make a product like that and sell it and see how many people pay for it. No one's buying it. The reason people buy sports cards, because they're gambling. They are chasing something. When they open the box, they're chasing something. Very, very few people open the box going, boy, I hope I get a couple base cards to create my set. Now, I know there's people out there going to tell me, oh, I collect for the base set. It's very rare. Gambling is what brings in new people to the hobby. It's not the collecting. They might stay because of the collecting, because they spent so much money chasing stuff like, well, shit, I might as well be PC it. PC it. That means I can't sell it. I'll PC it. Second, good part of the hobby. I'm going to give a shout out to a few content creators that I just super, super like, because they are proving, while all these naysayers are talking about, oh, the hobby's down. Oh, it's hard to make money. Card prices continue to dip. Oh, the decline. These guys are grinding. Little victories. One of my favorites. This guy, raw to grade. Okay, that's his thing. He cracks. He raw to grade. He grades with PSA. I think he does some SGC. I'm not sure, but I like him. He's been doing it for years. He did a little video recently, did a little rant about that. Basically saying, look, economy can be whatever it is. There's ups and downs in the sports card hobby, but if you know what you're doing, if you are knowledgeable, and I believe this, if you're knowledgeable, you can make money in this hobby. Okay. I even tell you this too. You can make money buying into breaks. I'm not going to sit here and argue with people. Oh, breaks are gambles. You're fools. Yes, most people in the break lose. People make money in poker. Most people at the poker table lose. It's the same thing with breaking. If you know what you're doing in this hobby, when it comes to breaking, raw to grade, cracking, whatever it is, if you have knowledge and you're intelligent and you're hustling and grinding, you can make money in this hobby. Little victories did it. The other one I'm a huge fan of was SCB. SCB, who I found out because of Sports Card Radio. They were talking about him tonight in the chat. Just a huge fan of SCB. And I'll even say this. I think Sports Card Radio says, I don't agree with everything he says. There's some things he says, I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Like, he's big on leaf cards. He's big on college cards. It's not me, but I appreciate it. I learn from it. I applaud the hustle. Even when he takes a freaking L, he tells you about the L. That I applaud the most. I really do. None of the people out there share the L's. It's all about the W. It's not about the L. So I'm a big fan of SCB. The other one I want to talk about is Gabby cards. Gabby cards, really good. He's another one of those guys. He does the Bowman, college, stuff like that. And he does a lot of buying boxes, cases, lots from people, and selling raw, right? He doesn't always grade, he grades some. And I think you can see him learning, but I applaud his hustle. I really do. I think he will be more efficient as he goes on, right? I think he already sees some efficiencies. He's already teaching us who watch his channel things he's learning. How he put his 101 on auction. He probably shouldn't have done that. Probably should have done it buy it now. Should have taken the best offer somebody offered him a few weeks ago. Just really great content. But these guys are grinding. They're making money. They're great channels. It made me think to myself, though, who has the biggest following of content creator out there? I'm gonna say on YouTube. I don't follow IG enough, but who in YouTube is grinding, like really, really doing hobby work and has a big following? You let me know. I can't think of. It's none of them. I mean, you think of the big channels, none of them are grinding. Most of them are just flash. They're flash and they're regurgitating stuff they hear from somebody else. They don't actually do what a lot of these other guys are doing. Correct me if I'm wrong. In fact, I look at Sports Card Investor, and I remember I reached out to Jeff years ago about he should do more sessions on people who are grinding in the hobby. How are they making money? Whether they opened up their own business as a breaker, whether they opened their own business as a subber, whether they're doing, raw to grade, whatever, but they were buying into breaks. There's so many people out there hustling, making money in the hobby who are real sports card. I'm going to say the word investor. They're real sports card investors. And I don't think they get enough attention, love. I've tried to do that. It's just not my forte. I don't know. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Another channel I'm going to give a shout out to, and this is Sports Card Strategy. Sports Card Strategy is actually a group of content creators. I'm a big fan of Andy, who does the Football Fantasy Quest. He joined Sports Card Strategy, or is affiliated with them. Paul Hickey at Sports Card Strategy. He organized it. I've been following him for years, and I'll tell you, good guy. He's always been just straight. He's definitely on the investor side, right? I've seen him position is bad. In fact, I even say I took a shot at him one time about how he's, was talking PWCC, and I was like, "Are you a PWCC guy?" He's a good, just straight shooter. And the reason I bring this up is that I heard a video podcast slash YouTube from the Shallow End by Dave, which is part of the Wolf Pack. Big, great content if you want to check it out. Wolf Pack, I think, is a channel. Check out Sports Card Therapist Rob. He's part of the Wolf Pack. You'll find the Wolf Pack there, and you find Shallow End with Dave. And Dave did a great interview with Paul Hickey. And I learned stuff that just made me really appreciate Paul more than I had just from the outside looking in. Right? Kind of looked at him like, okay, you're selling your plan, you're teaching people how to make money. And I have to say, if you watch Sports Card Strategy, he does some really, really good sessions where people come in and talk about how they're making money in the hobby. And the thing I'll take away from this is that, like these other guys, they're making money, right? They're doing it honest. They're grinding. They have a business. And I applaud that. I really do. I freaking love these guys doing it. I mean, I do my own little grind on the side, right? And I think that's why I'm critical of shady, grifting, crappy, bullshit other people out there. And you know who I'm referring to. So I'll leave that at my good. I don't want to go negative right now, but applaud those hustles. Next thing I want to talk about, two other quick shout outs. Topps. I've been very involved in Topps product. Whether I buy the product or not, I learn about the products. I learn about the releases because I want to understand, and I have been following Topps for years. But I'm saying I've learned a lot about these subsets. And I have to give credit to a channel, Grip and Rip. Young guy. He's about 20-something years. I think he just had a birthday, by the way. I think he's 21, 22. Young guy who does content every day. He is the fucking Iron Man of content. I think he's at like 3 years without stopping any days. My biggest complaint is he doesn't respond to my comments, but I really like his content because he really keeps you up to speed on what's going on with Topps. So he's not always right. There's sometimes he'll miss stuff, but he has a really good insight on Topps baseball. And I'm excited because I want to bring this up. I'm learning from him as we are pivoting towards football and basketball that are coming, and these college products, and Fanatics and Topps is going to run that. I like channels like that. I like channels who are giving you insight on the product coming out, what the top hits could be on the product, some warnings about the product. I really, really like that. So it's another great asset to the hobby. Great content. So big shout out to Grip and Rip. Another one I'm going to quickly shout out was caught two really good interviews this week with Ty, not Tyler, Ty Honeypot? Teapot. I forget how to pronounce your last name, sir. Big fan of Teapot. And I really liked the conversations he had. He was on with DPC, which was on Sports Card Dad's channel. And just a really good conversation about his collecting, his involvement, how he got in the hobby, his involvement in Sports Card Investor. And then he was on with Roland with FD, another great content provider. If you don't follow either one of those, I'm shocked. Roland with FD, Sports Card Dad, DPC. Really good interviews. And again, what I learned, I'll just say this as a good part, I learned a lot this week about Paul Hickey, and I learned a lot about Teapot from those interviews. And I appreciate the guys who put those content together, interviewed them, and the value those guys gave to me in the hobby. So really good week for good stuff in the hobby, good hobby content. Let me go over to the bad side. What did I see as bad in the hobby? What bad things are going on? I'm not going to talk about repackers today. That's all I'll say. The auto thing concerns me. And I think in the sense that there's so much like, fuck it. The CJ Stroud autograph rookie card numbered with the Tyson back is so creative. It's like evil genius, but it's also a little evil. I don't know. And the reason I say this, why can't we have autographs on licensed cards? Why do we have this uncertainty? Why do these companies, like Topps is totally going to play this all year long, right? They're going to be doing the CJ Stroud had a great day. Wembley will have a great day. They'll drop the autographs of his. We're going to chase around and go get them. We don't know how many are coming. We don't know what products are going to be in. There's too much uncertainty in the autograph world. And that is bad. It really is. It's bad for me. It's bad for most hobbyists. It does create opportunity, right? I mean, if you snag some of these cards in the right time, right position, right place, you could make money or lose money. It depends. Now, I do like the fact you have a better chance of buying direct from these companies on these drops. Like I'm happy the Topps is doing what they're doing with those on-demand cards, right? I think that's better than if they were giving them the fucking blowout to sell to me, right? Pardon my language. But the uncertainty there is a concern to me, right? Breaker scams, a lot of breaker scams. Listen to Sports Card Radio tonight. They're talking breaker scams. I'm not going to go into all the details, but let me say this. Bad part of the hobby are the scams. I wish we did a better job of calling them out and as a collaborative community banning them. I'll go back to the Brandon Cooks 99 story of about 2016, 17. That guy never broke again because he was basically shadow banned. Guys scam people in breaks today and nothing happens to them. There was a big story about backyard breaks and them having shill bidding and them shill bidding on their own cards. I have witnessed, I was watching them. I don't want to say the wrong breaker's name, but I watched Run Good Life on Fanatics Live in the chat buying spots in a break that the guy, and I think it was Hitman, I think Hitman said, oh, these spots should go for about $100, and Run Good Life every time was bidding them till they went over $100. He got one spot and then he was out. That to me looks shady, guys. I don't like it. When you see one breaker and another breaker's breaks bidding up things and dropping out, and there are people who think that's okay, right? We talked about this earlier. Some people think shill bidding is okay. Is that shill bidding? Looks like shill bidding to me. It really did. It looked like shill bidding to me. What on these micro 1 minute auctions? It's hard to show you shill bidding because it all happens so quickly. That's a big concern in those live streams. I cannot stand live streams on those auctions. If you have an auction and a live stream, fuck that shit. I mean, it's just not a good thing, man. It just breeds scamming. It breeds easy ability for shill bidding. Breaker schemes. Loaded boxes. That's the other thing. I know AIH, Dan, both talked about loaded boxes that Leighton got. And I'd say that the loaded boxes Leighton got, because until you can prove that they're not loaded, they're loaded. And the reason the way you could prove this, guys, real quickly, is if the manufacturers really gave a shit about this, they would have a third party auditing their distribution. Say, hey, PwC came in and audited, or Cooper's, whatever. That's an old PwC was Cooper or something. But anyway, some auditing company would come in and say, we've audited the distribution of Fanatics and product, blah, 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 blah. But they don't do that. There's no auditing. And we know how inventory is tracked. I mean, come on. Guys, they track inventory so that, like, if there's metal in a chicken nugget, they can get the chicken nuggets off the market. So if they can get chicken nuggets off the market because there's metal in it, you damn sure know they know where damn cards are when they send them out to Mama Breaks and Leighton Sports Cards and all these other ones. And I'll make this last comment. Not all breakers are bad. There's a lot of great breakers out there who are just good guys, hustling, having fun, keeping costs low, sharing cards with people. They're not getting loaded boxes. Unfortunately, maybe sometimes they accidentally get one. So those are the bad things. Bad. Lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. It's not that there's a lack of knowledge. It's that we think we, the community, individuals, if you're new to the hobby, you give knowledge based on the wrong things. Oh, he's part of this data company. He must have knowledge. Or he's got a lot of followers. He must have knowledge. I'm going to specifically call out Big Scott had a really good collaboration on, I think it was Sunday night. I think he had Victor on there. He had Mike O on there. He had JD Sports Cards on there and himself. And they were talking about knowledge. And one thing, again, I like all of them, and I really appreciate them. They made a good comment about you get more knowledge from actually participating, ripping packs, being in breaks. And Mike O does stuff like that. And JD and who was the other one? I just said other names. We're commenting that they don't have that knowledge. Now, I'm going to say this. JD, if you're blocking people who are trying to give you knowledge, well, you're not going to get any smarter. I'll just leave it at that. I'm on JD's block list. Reach out to JD because he makes all these weird comments about stuff, recommending stuff, telling you how this is going to go this way. And when you critique him or give him some suggestion, his answer is to block you. So I found it ironic that he's on this panel giving out knowledge about what he's learned when this is an individual who blocks other people. And again, I understand there's some people that need to be blocked. But if you don't want to take critical feedback from something you make a mistake in, and I'm not going to go detailed about this, but JD, if you catch this video, someone relays this to JD, you can do better, man. You can do better. But I do like the message that they talked about knowledge. And I'll just simply say this. I don't know everything. No one in this hobby does. But I know people who know a lot of things. And I think that's what's important. You find a network, whether it's your wolf pack or your sheep pack or your watchdog pack or whatever it might be. You find people who are going to help you share knowledge. Knowledge is the most important thing in this hobby. Lack of knowledge is what kills people. Talking back to Little Victories and SCV, they have knowledge about their process, what they're going after, the products, the reason they're going after it. Some people have no knowledge at all. They simply say, I saw a card slabbed, I bought it, I'm waiting for this player to have a good game, and I'm going to sell it again. That's terrible knowledge. That is terrible knowledge in this hobby. Let's flip over to ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Where are we on time? Got about 10 minutes to wrap this up. Ugly. Gambling in Burbank. I saw Burbank, Robert, make an attack on gambling. And Rob likes to make attacks on breaking. He does not like breaking. And he's always talking about how the correct way, you got to give value, you got to give some money. And look, I think Rob does a great job. Never met him. I applaud him for Burbank. I think it's a great store. I don't buy singles, so I just don't ever see myself using his store. But if I was going to, I'd probably check him out. But let me say this. I just think that Rob runs a pawn shop. Okay. And pawn shops are great. They're great. What I mean by that is he'll give you cash for any cards, and that's fine. But you're not giving me good value on my cards. Okay. You're giving me poor value, and you're just recycling that value to somebody else. And then you want to be critical of gambling when gambling is the bloodline of this hobby. I mean, I think that's hypocritical, right? You're complaining about the gambling aspect, but the gambling aspect, those gamblers are coming to you to cash in to make you more money, and they're going to sell at 50% probably comps so they can go out and gamble again. And you're not stopping them. You're enabling the gambling because you give them cash for the shit. I mean, some people would say, hey, make them sell it on their own. Make them actually go out there and work for it. But no, you're like, come in here easily. I'll give you cash for it. Right? So I find that a little bit hypocritical. And I'll also say this too. I'm just curious, what do you do to prevent buying stolen, altered, and fake cards? What do you do to prevent that? I'm just curious because I got to assume that if you're anywhere in the Burbank area and you're a criminal and you have sports cards, that's where you go to sell them. You fence them off at Burbank. Am I wrong? I mean, that's why pawn shops had to start carrying, they had to work with the police department on serial numbers on certain things, right? There's rules of pawn shops because they're a place to fence stolen goods. And I have to assume, and I'll say it again, Repacks are the number one place to fence stolen goods in the sports card world, that Burbank is buying a lot of those stolen cards. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Burbank can tell me, no, we track them, we call the police, we don't anything if we find out you stole them. I don't know, but I just see it as a big honeypot for cash for cards, baby. Cash for cards, cash for cards. Ugly. Flat card value. This was a video I watched, and let me first of all say the content of this was great. This is Cards and Comics, not Neo Cards and Comics. This is Cards and Comics. Jason, Cards and Comics, great content provider. Did a great video on the declining market of sports cards. And here's a gotcha. Here's a takeaway from this, guys. All sports cards over time do this. Go up, and then they go down, and then they flatline. Like most cards will never go to zero. Someone will give you a penny for the cardboard, 10 cents for the ink. I don't know. They'll give you something for it. But most of them will go up, and then they go down. And when I say most, I'm talking like 99%. Very few do this. And even fewer do it long term. And that's what his video is about. It's the ugly truth of the hobby, the ugly truth of the hobby. So let me just explain this to you. I look at the hobby kind of like surfing. I used to surf as a kid in Florida. There's new waves coming in all the time. Those are the product releases, the rookie classes, baseball comes, football comes, basketball, hockey. Sports are like waves of rookies and cards and products and chases. And they come up and they crash on the beach. And you turn around, there's another wave come crash on the beach. And then one crash on the beach. That's the fucking sports card market, man. These cards all come up in value. People are chasing them. They're exciting. Bowman Cruz, chase stuff. Crash on the waves. That's it, guys. Some of that water goes back and makes another wave. That's all it is. It's a wave. Enjoy the wave. Surf the wave. Enjoy the wave. Surf it. Realize it's going to end. There are more waves coming. Don't fall in love with the wave you're on. Don't buy the goats. I mean, the goats are sitting on the beach. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And again, that's if you're here to profit or make money. And I'm not here to profit, but I'm here to sustain. I like to chase. I like to gamble. I like to enjoy the hobby. And that's how you do it. You surf. You surf the product. Surf the wave. You know which product to get on. That's a shitty product right there. It's going to crash on those corals. I'm not touching that shit. You know that. You learn that. That's what the hobby is. Surfing, baby. Last ugly thing I saw this week. And I'll wrap up what I was doing. Last ugly thing I saw this week. 2 box openings this week, which made me laugh. And I'll tell you why. Because I opened both of them back in, I want to say 15, 16, and they were a lot cheaper. Opened a box of Prism 2012. I want to say we got that. It had to be less than $1,000. I think it was less than $500 when I bought it too, because I remember buying exquisite boxes and being shocked by paying that much for exquisite boxes. But I remember opening one of those. And the reason I say that is that product back in that day was shit. No one liked Prism. And they didn't. No one really, like the real collectors did not like Prism until probably 2016, 17. Even then, it was the investor community that embraced it because of the monetary value of Ben Simmons and the Silver Prism. But I'm not going to go into that story. But I do remember when we opened that box, we were just chasing the autos. And I remember, and maybe this was in a different pack, but I remember my son opened a Delavadova. Remember Delavadova? Delavadova auto, numbered to 10. I think it was a gold auto that we sold for like, I don't know, $100, $200 back then. And at the time, that was the best hit. Like in that same box, maybe it was a different pack. I don't want to get this wrong because there were several packs we had to in a box. My son opens Giannis card. He had a Giannis base Prism, which is worth a lot more money today than that Delavadova. But the time when that box was open, the reason I'm talking about this is the only thing we were after were the 2 autos in the Prism box. We didn't care about the 2 silver Prisms or any of the other things that were in there. That was not important. It was all about the autos. So to see that box open now on Cajun Cardboard channel for $4,500 and then see how ugly that box was, I think to myself and go, what the fuck? I mean, that is just, I knew going into that it'd be a train wreck, but my God, it was ugly. The other one was watching Sports Card Investor open up Innovation. He opened up another box. I don't remember the other box, not important, but the Innovation box. I remember Innovation so well. I fucking love Innovation, man. I forget how much he said Innovation was. $400, $500 a box. I remember getting that stuff. I want to say for $45 a box at Blowout back in 2017, 18. $45 a box, easily. My sons and I, when we go to Blowout back in those days, the Innovation was an easy yes. Because I let my sons each buy 1 box back in that day. And I, at the time, I think I had 2 or 3 sons buying cards. So the Innovation box, yeah, you can each get a box of Innovation. It was when they wanted to get the $100, $200 box, like, why don't we share one of those? But if they wanted their own box, Innovation was the way to go. In fact, we got a case because we were there trying to chase. We wanted a Kaboom card. So we decided to buy a case. We bought a case, $45. I think it was 20 boxes in case. It was a very affordable case. And it was so much fun to rip. And I got to tell you too, looking back to that, we hit a Kaboom of Chris Paul. I had the stained glass Giannis. I had the stained glass Curry. I had so many. I think that's stained glass Durant. I had almost this full stained glass collection, which those cards are now ridiculous. And I was watching Jeff open them and talk about the value. It almost made me throw up. But again, ugly to think to myself how much. Something that was created. I don't know. It's probably cost them $10 or $50 to make that if they were selling to me for $45 back in 2017. And to see where it is today, that's ugly. And I wondered to myself, is there anything like that in the future? Will we really be paying a lot of money for Prism in the future? Like, these Wimby boxes, will people be paying a lot of money for those in the future? I don't know. It's that story though. It's just seeing that in my lifetime. A few years ago when I was opening those boxes for $45, and now they're 10x that. Ugly. Okay, so let me close this up. I think I'm going to go over my 30 minutes. I'm going to try to keep that close. A couple things that happened to me this week. I got over 60 cards back from PSA. Awesome time. My gem mint rate, I think I got about 40%. So I forget the numbers exactly, but 40% of those cards came back 10s. Most of them are Monopoly cards. If you're followed by I did breaks in the summer, bought a bunch of Monopoly breaks. I got those cards back. I'm going to sell Monopoly cards. I'll sell them off. I will make a profit off that. And I will share that with the world in the future. But that's a long project, man. I've been working on that for 6 months. And I'm not in a rush to sell the ones I have. I got some great cards. Also a bunch of other cards. I got back my Bryce Young Topps Now autograph card. I got that back, Gem Mint 10. That was from the spring where you could buy for, I think it was $199, and you didn't know which card you're going to get. It was one of the first times Topps did the autograph thing. Really liked it. Very happy about it. Wish I got the CJ Stroud one, but hey, it is what it is. Other thing I'm looking at, ComC. So when I was at CSA a few weeks ago, I dropped off my Lorcana cards and I dropped off some comic books. Both those have already made the ComC. They've already been processed. So I'm pricing out my Lorcana cards and I'm pricing out my comic books. Comic books do not sell on that platform. There's not a lot of sales movement on that. Like everything I put in there is Monopoly. I have like the only comic book of these issues, which shocked me because they're not like special comic books. And my Lorcana cards, I'm looking to see how that goes. Got those up and loaded. I'm interested to see how that sells. I'm also going to try to grade a couple of my Lorcana cards from there. And the other thing I was looking at, I'm looking at this Buying Sports Cards website. I'm thinking about leveraging that website. I'll leave it at that. Talk more about that in the future. So anyway, I want to try to keep this to about 30 minutes. I think we went a little bit over. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you are having a wonderful week. We'll be back next week with episode 0. And we'll talk about what's going on. I will tell you, I've been looking at what happened years ago. It's interesting. The last point, 3 years ago, in November of 2020, there had already been a little dip in the market. A boom in August, and then there was a dip in November going down. November 2020. And remember, in February, there's another rise, another big rise in 2021. But in November, 3 years ago, people were complaining. I listened to, well, I'll talk about that later in another video. Thanks, guys. Like, comment, subscribe.